Hey guys, Shop Talk Podcast.
I'm a zero pro guy.
I did it, yeah. I ran a marathon.
The only crank screw?
Am I the town hero?
3 laps of that are just... Okay. Hey guys, Shop Talk Podcast, episode 53. We're here today with 2005 I-500 winner, local legend, Josh Davis. Thanks for coming here, Josh.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Nice to have you here.
Yeah, it was cool to make this happen, to get you in here, because you're usually always so busy. So we appreciate it.
You bet.
But today, before we get into it, just got to give a quick thanks to today's sponsor. Thanks to Brett Johnson, Johnson Electric out of Alexandria. They can help you with all your electrical needs for new construction, remodels, light commercial projects, and more. They service West Central Minnesota. You can contact them at 320-491-6641. He's a fan of the show and just a snowmobile enthusiast. So support the people that support us.
Yeah,
we appreciate it. Oh, also I got to give a quick shout out to Derek Beaudry.
I think that's how you say his last name.
I think we bought an enclosed trailer, Josh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, big 29-foot enclosed trailer now. We're about as pro as we get. So I had to give a shout out to Derek because we bought it from him, and that was he gave us a deal on it. He wanted a Shop Talk hat and a shout out on the podcast.
Sweet.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Super nice guy. It was cool to meet him and talk to him.
Yeah.
Looking at the trailer. Yeah.
Friend of ours, been listening to the show for a long time. Matt Crosby is going into his first round of chemotherapy Tuesday when this episode is released.
So, really?
Yeah. So we're hoping everything goes well and it's a speedy recovery. And hopefully you get to listen to this while you're doing your chemo stuff.
Because, that'll make that funner.
yeah. Keep you entertained a little bit.
Yeah. So, Josh, you kind of grew up in kind of a crazy era of being in Clearwater County here. It was like you and Brian Deerdahl and DJ Eckery. What a fast group of you three just growing up together. How unreal is that?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I don't really think about it.
So how did you kind of start out? Because Dad said when you started kind of hanging around him, you didn't even have a driver's license yet.
Right.
But you had a truck, so you're out driving around with no license.
Well, no, not to start with. I met him, I guess, over at Sandhill Lake races over there. Mm-hmm. I was over there, went over there and did some radar runs, and
just as a young kid.
Yeah, I was probably, I guess, 16, probably maybe 17. Mm. But so I just met him over there. He's just a nice guy. He's gonna he can talk to you and tell you stuff, and just real personable, And I remember he's standing there and looking at the front of his sled, and he says, "Well, that ain't right." He said, "Spindles are bent." I said, "I must have did that in the 500." I think it was just the week before that, And so then I thought, well, this guy raced the 500. I'm gonna hang around him and learn everything I can, But no, he was a lot of fun to hang out with.
He said you were young, but you had a 600 triple.
Yeah,
XLT purple top.
Yeah, heck yeah.
I went. I was. I guess I'd been 16, maybe 17, and it was a 97. So I bought it. Would have been in the fall of 96, and the 600 XC I was. And so, rode the heck out of that all winter.
So that was where it kind of all started. Just being a young kid, just following this Gomer Glen Arlo around.
He wasn't no Gomer to me. He knew a lot more than I did about it.
Yeah, and then but it turned around so quick to where you just got faster than him right away, kind of.
Well, I don't know. It was not right away. I mean, I remember the first few races, the first in the fan class, it was that year in Pine Lake, and there was a lot of entries. I want to say there was like 60 entries in the fan class,
Gosh, that's insane.
And so I didn't know any of them other than your dad. And I think I ended up like 15th out of the weekend out of 60 or whatever it was, you know, and I was a little disappointed, you know, I thought I was going to do better than that, you know. But I think your dad was like maybe 6th or 7th, maybe. I can't remember.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And, but every weekend, you know, I'd just try to, you know, whatever I learned and try to do better. And then if I could ever see him on the track and judge, you know, for where I was to, you know, on different corners, you know, how to judge. And, you know, he was the only one I really knew to compare to, you know.
Sure. Yeah, he had sent, he wrote, I had asked him a few things, and he said, yeah, 98 was the first Pine Lake race that you guys were at on fan-cooled sleds. He said the back bay, there was 2 sets of railroad tracks, and just on how deep it got, on how everybody was just running them 2 sets of lines. And you were on a new 98, and he was on a 97.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
He said that was like the era of where you guys had to switch from cross country to ice racing every other weekend.
Yeah, that's the way it seemed. Yeah, yeah. And of course, we were, you know, shoestring budget as it got, you know. So you're pulling ice picks out of the track one weekend, and you know, putting your carbides in there, and then switching back the next weekend. You know.
Oh my gosh! Could you imagine we had to do that today, Kyle?
Yeah.
I mean, people get mad about the 1 or 2 ice races, and then having to switch back and forth.
Yeah.
But like, so when did you guys get to work at Jessness? When did that come around?
Well, I started there. I guess it would have been the spring of '98, late winter of '98. I guess.
Was Dad working there at the time too in the winters, or was that not yet?
Every now and then he'd just come in and do some stuff. It wasn't like he was there a lot. I don't remember, you know, but. If it was real busy or something, I think I remember being there a couple times working on stuff, you know. Yeah. But
yeah, because I think he'd just go in there in the winters, late '90s there, early 2000s. Yeah. When Sam would just have him work there when he's laid off.
Sure. So. Yeah. Right.
So I thought that was when the relationship kind of started, but it was before that even.
Yeah. Yeah. It was. So I think Sandhill Lake was probably the first time I met him, and then. Of course, Native Wash was just a couple weeks after that, it seems like. And so I rode my sled down there, my 600, you know, thinking, well, I'm going to do more than radar runs this weekend, you know.
Yeah.
Try the lake race, you know. Of course, everything was, you know, on a road there, so trail studs, trail carbides, you know. Lots of snow on the lake, you know, and
he said him and Kevin Solberg did the same thing. Their first Native Wash race is that they rode down to the lake race.
Yeah. And of course, I don't know. I didn't get a good start, and I think I was probably dead last. And then after a few corners, I caught one of the guys on a skidoo there, and I passed him right before the corner. And then the way I remember it, he come past me back and ran over my skis. So I went end over end and tore the hood up, you know, and it did a bit of damage to that. You know?
On your first race?
Yeah. And then, well, then later, so then the end of the day came, and then I was gonna ride home, you know, from Native Wash.
Yeah.
Broken hood and all, you know. Yeah. And I didn't make it up far up the trail, and then started to overheat. And then some trail rider towed me back to the lodge there. And I thought, well, I got to find somebody, you know. And I seen your dad's truck and trailer there. And I thought, well, I need to go find him, you know. Yeah. So I went and found him, and he's like, yeah, we'll give you a ride home. And yeah. So yeah, he was always, you know, very willing to help, you know, you know. Super good guy.
Oh, that's funny.
Just the concept of trail riding to races anymore is just nuts. I can't even think about doing that.
Right. Yeah.
And then he said, you're still on, so like this is probably getting into when you guys were both working at Jessness there, when you're in Jessness's big trailer, that you were still on fan-cooled sleds when you went out to West Yellowstone.
Yeah.
And you had sleds stacked on top of each other in the trailer.
Wow.
Seems like we had like 7 sleds in that.
How big was that trailer?
I want to say it was 32.
Oh, really? Because Dad thought it was quite a bit bigger when we were standing in our new one. He's like,
I don't think so.
Holy cow.
7 sleds in one trailer.
Yeah. I mean, there was skis on top of seats. Yeah. I'm sure I've seen a picture of it. I mean, they were all shoehorned in there.
Gosh.
And then of course we had, I think there was 5 people in the cab of the truck, and then I think there was 2 people riding in the trailer.
Oh man.
Yeah.
God, that'd be a long drive in the back of a trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I want to say it's almost 24 hours out there, ain't it?
I think it's
a long hike.
Yeah, 16 hours. Yeah, something like that.
Just laying around a bunch of sleds stacked on top of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a long ride. So, like, when did you start getting serious about it then? Like, was it slowly just over time?
Well, I think your dad probably talked me into, saying we need to, do the fan class, just because, the sled's cheaper and, it's just a more competitive class. Back then, the 600 was not a very popular class.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was there, but
is either fan or 440 liquids kind of?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so that was 97. That first year I tried it on the 600 triple, and then so then the 97, 98, we did the fan class. Made it to most all the North Star series that year. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I remember there's a few times. Most times he'd come pick me up. Wherever I was, if I was at work there or at home or wherever, he'd show up at the trailer and we'd load up.
2-place trailer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, the old rusty one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one doesn't move out of the yard now. That one that he used back then. That one's just like the storage trailer.
Yeah, that one stays in the old garage.
Yeah. So, yeah, it would have been, 97, 98 is when I tried the fan class out.
But the progression was so fast for you. It seems
I don't know.
Just if you think of like,
look at this picture, that's 02, 03, something like that.
Yeah.
And I think you were even pro before then, right?
Well, I did try it. I tried pro in 2000, and Polaris didn't have a very good sled that year. Mm-hmm. And
was that the first year of the Edge?
No, 99 was their first year of the Edge, but then the 2000, it was, I don't know, it was about the same. I think there was a little bit different stuff, suspension and all that, but no, the chassis was weak. The trailing arms were weak. I don't know. The motor was slow. It seemed like
just all the way around. It was a slow, bad sled.
It seemed like Corey could get it to go, but no one else really could,
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, because then Dad said it was before pro class. Josh was in Strathcona at an oval event. Josh broke down on the cross country section, but the oval event, he was second against everybody else after that. Then he went pro. Does that sound right?
Well, he remembers it better than I do, I guess. But no, so I raced 98 or 97, 98, and felt like I was getting better every weekend.
Yeah,
I could figure out I need to work on this, I need to do that, and of course the biggest thing is I need to quit crashing. Because you blow a corner and wad it up and. Then you get done with the race, and you're thinking, God, if I hadn't done that,
Yeah.
How much time did I lose doing that,
That was what Dad said. He said, you weren't scared to send it.
Which is weird because you're a quiet guy, nice guy, and then you get on a machine and you're just a psychopath, and it's hard to believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess I maybe grew up a little bit, but no, and then then the 99, we ran them the new Gen 2,
Yep.
And it had a good motor in it, It was finally, it took a while, but your dad finally figured out how to make them go. And it was pretty aggravating to know that it was there the whole time and just you couldn't find it, didn't know about it,
That's what he said. He liked testing with you guys had two of the exact same sleds, but no setup worked the same on each sled.
Right.
Like it was just back and forth constant between both of them.
Yeah.
And then the cattail patch that you guys would always test around at Pine Lake. way in the back bay. That's still the one that we make ovals around every year.
Yeah.
So we talk about that every year.
Oh yeah. No, I spent a lot of time on that lake. A lot of fun.
Yeah. And we're still out there spinning laps.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But he said your first pro race was on rice paddies.
Yeah.
Up north of Gully.
Yeah. Well, it would have been up by Baudette.
Oh, really? That far north?
Yeah. I don't know. There was like poor ice conditions or something wherever it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so they found a rice paddy up there, not far from Baudette. And yeah.
And that was on the 440 liquids then. And
Yep.
Dad said that was when you had the timing dial on the sleds, or was that?
Well, it was under the hood, but yeah,
a couple years later.
Yeah.
And he said it was a couple weekends of burning down playing with that dial.
Oh yeah. Well, you're young and you think you know what you're doing, and you're wrong.
More timing.
Yeah. Which you figure out. I mean, more isn't always better.
but and then Dad said it must have been before you went pro that you guys tangled into the back of him at Sand Hill Lake on the fence.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't remember that very well at all. But
he said he was first and second. He was in the lead, and you ran in the back of him. Yeah. Sleds were stuck together.
That sounds about right.
You guys had a big enough lead, though. Once you got him unstuck, then he's able to jump in and you guys got third and fourth then.
Okay, well, I don't remember exactly, but...
He said there's like 2 times that you ran into him, crashed him, and he was just like, what the heck, man?
Oh, yeah, right.
Well, that's how you got to find the edge, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean... I don't know.
You're definitely a believer in Rubbins racing.
Well, at times, yeah. Well, you got to be close to pass, and
yeah,
a little too close.
But like, so that had to been pretty nice to like work at were you working at Justness full time then?
Yep.
At some point.
Yep. No, I went to work there full time when I was 17.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It seemed like Sam kind of supported your guys' racing quite a bit.
Well, I mean, you always had the shop and, all the tools there to work on everything.
Yeah.
And of course, two or three of his boys, they wanted to race a little bit too, so he was justified getting that trailer, which I don't know. I guess I never met him, but I guess it was Paul Max.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that was his trailer.
Yeah.
Oh.
And, I don't know if you ever seen any pictures of it, but it was a bumper pull trailer.
Yeah.
Tri-axle, and then Sam, he cut the bumper hitch off and put a gooseneck hitch on it. So, because he said, we're going all the way out to West Yellowstone. We're not going to move the bumper pull.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So it was, and of course, so you always, I always get parts at cost, and, it worked out pretty good, really,
Yeah. Yeah, because then Dad said like you guys were in the back, like just like trying, like working on your own shocks, like learning stuff like that. And
yeah.
He said oil spraying on the ceiling at some point.
Yeah.
But like, so when did it get really serious then to where you were top pro kind of contender in like the 0203 series? Like, did you have a preference between ice Le Mans and cross country?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I probably favored the ice. I mean, we pretty much all favor what we're best at, but
yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I didn't mind cross country either, I mean, it all depended on the conditions, I mean, if it was always fun to have a ice race that they plowed,
Yeah.
You could really pick your lines and move around, not get stuck in snow dust behind somebody,
Yep.
That was always kind of a fun thing. But
that's still our argument to this day. It was like, it's got to be plowed. It's got to be plowed wide.
Yeah.
It makes just Pine Lake this last year. It was the best track they've.
Sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. And they used to do a real good job of that, plowing a lot of the lake races,
Yeah.
There'd be a lot of snow out there, and they'd get out there and they'd plow it, But, yeah.
Yeah, that's the best way to have a lake race, I'd say. That's that way you can actually race.
Right.
You know, you can pick it like you said, pick your lines. You can
right.
pass people.
And of course, it all depended on too if you were racing heads up or if you were doing a timed event. You know.
Yeah. Yep.
Because like the Heartland Series, you know, we'd go over there and they wouldn't plow nothing over there. I mean, barely plow the parking lot. You know. And then, but you'd start whatever it was, I think it was usually 2 sleds at a time. Whatever it was, 30 seconds apart or whatever, or it might have been more or less. I don't remember, but so at least that way, if you catch someone, you know, you got that much speed on them, and hopefully you can get around them, but it didn't always work out either.
No, get stuck in snow dust and.
But you had to have been thinking like jumping into pro class, like, man, I'm getting pretty good at this stuff.
Well, I mean, toward the end of the run the fans, you know, I was fairly consistent right up there at the top, and I thought, well, you know, there's, you know, go up.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you want to beat the best, you know, you don't want to.
Yeah. Were you winning fans races or the fan class and like fan championship stuff or
well, I never did win a championship, but you know, I mean, just got better throughout the year. And I mean, well, it's hard to remember. I know I did win a few races in the fan class. I think, well, the first one I won was down in Hackensack, one of the Heartland races, you know. And for some reason, your dad didn't go with down there. I want to say they had a race on Four-Legged Lake that weekend. I want to say it was Saturday.
Oh.
And then Sunday there was the Heartland race. That's the way I remember it anyway. And so for some reason he wasn't going to go to that. And so I had to load my sled up in the back of my pickup. It was an old 76 Ford, you know. And didn't have my license yet, but I had my permit. So I got one of my buddies and my mom to come along. And then so we went down there to Hackensack. And I ran, you know, around the track, I don't know, once or twice in the morning, you know. And thought everything felt pretty good, you know, handled good. And, you know, I thought, well, I don't really have to do anything, you know. And I don't remember who I started with, but, you know, same thing. There was quite a few entries.
Yeah.
And so you'd start whatever it was, 2 or 3 at a time. And then, so I ran the whole race and don't remember really making any mistakes. And I thought, well, I mean, finally I didn't crash or one race, you know. And wait till the end, you know, the day, you know, so you're in the bar, you know, waiting for the awards, you know, and so they count down from whatever it was, 5th and down, you know, and they keep going down and down. I'm not in there. I'm thinking, well, either I got 6th or I won, you know. and then but they say your times too, you know.
Yeah.
And I think, if I remember right, I ended up winning by like 40 seconds, you know.
Oh, really?
Wow. There. So I thought, well, it goes to show you, you know, don't crash. And
Yeah.
helps a lot.
Yeah.
Oh.
Helped that Glenn wasn't there to get tangled up with him.
Yeah. So I imagine I called him when I got home or something. Of course, no one had cell phones back then, you know.
Yeah.
And so I was pretty excited. And I can't remember. I want to say it might have been $1,200 or something, you know.
Really?
You know, so
I know
there was a lot of entries, you know. So
yeah, like both like talking to Dad and like talking to Brady. They say the fan class was almost more competitive than the pro class because like the times were so close that the sleds were so slow that you couldn't make mistakes.
Right. Well, there's a lot to that. I do remember being very competitive. I mean, there was a pretty good group of guys, you know, that it could just about go to any weekend, you know. You know.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. That was like why when we had that Snow Pro 500 class was so competitive that the sleds were always all at the same speed pretty much.
Yeah.
That there was no big variance, so everybody was so close.
Yeah. Well, once your dad got that 99 figured out, well, then it was a little easier then, you know.
I think he told Ree is a cultivator spring.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But he did like that 99 because then I remember him saying like he had got a 2000 and then ran that a little bit and then went back to the 99.
Yeah.
And then I think similar to 01, he got an 01 and went back to a 99 as well.
Yeah. Well, after that, I ran that 2000 in the liquid class, and it was such a junker of a sled, you know. And I thought, well, it's pretty expensive, you know, and I didn't do so well.
Yeah.
So I went back to a fan for that 2001, you know. And, well, that was the first year the fan came in an Edge.
Oh.
Or no, 2000 was. Well, was it? No. Yeah, I think 2000 probably was. But anyway, it was a 2001. And they did improve, you know, some durability issues, but it was just slow, you know. And I remember I was going to do the 500 that year. And so I had my old 99 still, and then I had that 2001. And I decided I'd run the 99 just because it ran so much better, you know.
Really?
Yeah. It was so much, way less finicky, which, you know, go figure. I mean, you wouldn't think it'd be any difference hardly at all, but it would run and the other one wouldn't. So,
you know. Out of all like the podcasts in the last few years of like older Polaris racers talking about the Polaris Edges, like nobody really liked them. Yeah, like
well, I don't know. I mean, a lot of them weren't very good, but like that one there in that picture there, that handled great and it ran great. And I mean, it was like a consumer edition. Edge, whereas like the race edition was, I don't know, they just like that was, what was that, a 03 maybe?
Looks like must be an 03.
02 or 03?
03,
okay.
XC Edge 600.
Yeah.
But then like the Pro X's would be closer to your race sled.
Yeah.
And they were different geometry in the front end.
Yeah.
Right. And the pipes were bent different. And they killed power, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
From an XC to the consumer sled?
Yeah. The Pro X. Taller shock towers.
Yep.
So they added a goofy curve to the pipe. Power killer.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when the 600 in the Pro X, I mean, that was a great sled. Yeah. But I don't know what, unlike the fan or whatever, I don't know what the deal was. Just a turd.
Just one of them sleds.
So, here on the table, Kyle's got a mint snow week from the Pine Lake race weekend of 03.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it would have been 02 race. The race was in 02, but it would have been 03 model year.
Yeah. Yep. Sure. Yep. So
I always get those dates confused when they're talking.
It's terrible talking about sled years.
Yeah. We're talking that race was in 02, but that's an 03 machine.
Like when we had Brian Deerdahl in here, I think we were a year off throughout his whole thing.
Yeah.
Just talking about years.
That's easy enough to do.
Yeah. When did your relation with Brian start?
I don't know. I guess dirt bikes and stuff like that. You know, it was right around 17, 18.
You lived with them, didn't you?
Yeah. I think probably, when was it? Probably about 2003, probably. Something like that. Yeah.
Because, you, like it was a whole group of you guys that would ride dirt bikes almost every weekend.
Yeah.
And so, but Dad said you had like a 99 or 2000 CR, 250, I think.
Well, the first one was a 97. Yeah. It was the first year, the aluminum frame.
Yeah.
The 250. Yeah. So.
But then that was kind of the bike that ended your dirt biking, or was that the 99 or 2000?
Well, I had that 97, and I had that for probably, I don't know, 3 years, something like that, you know. Rode it a lot. Ended up selling it. For what reason, I can't remember. And then didn't have a bike for a couple of years, seemed like. And then I got a 2001, I think it was.
Oh, yeah.
Or 250.
Yep. Not a good bike.
Well, I don't know. I don't remember it not being that good, but I mean.
Dad said that was the one, he was behind you at that sand track in Bemidji, and you took a gnarly crash, and then you never really rode after that one. Because like hearing test riders talk about that bike in the past now, that it had a lot of problems.
Yeah,
and he said it had a gnarly twitch to it, and you guys didn't know enough back in the day of what you know now to fix that.
Sure.
But he said, you took a bad crash there at that sand track in Bemidji, and then that was You didn't?
Well, I don't remember. I mean, I remember I crashing dirt bike a lot, but, but I don't remember it really being a bad bike. I think I like the 97 better than the 01, but
Yeah.
you know, that's at that point, you know, you're not that good anyway. It's like, it's not really going to matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You weren't a part of like the Brian Eckery days of going to the fair races and.
I went to a few of them. You know, we didn't really ever ride together or nothing like that, you know, but, you know, we'd end up at the same ones, you know, quite a few times, you know, Thief River and Grigla and Monoman and I don't know, maybe Fertile, some places like that. But
throwing second and third place plaques out the window.
well, I wasn't throwing any plaques. Hard to throw them when you ain't got them.
You had to win some, though.
I think I want to say I did win a couple of them. I want to say like might have been B class or something in Fertile. I can't remember now. It's many years ago now.
Yeah.
Seems like I did in Bemidji Fair too, maybe something like that. But.
Yeah, my dad's first dirt bike race wasn't until like vet 25 or something. I think that's when vet, like his vet race was.
That's what we're getting back into.
I'm pretty close to vet 30.
Yeah,
Very quick.
that's going to be the ticket there.
Yeah.
The first time I rode bikes with your dad, he had that old 84 CR250.
Yeah.
And I went over with that brand new 97, you know, and it was muddy. It just rained, you know, and, you know, your track gets so greasy, you know, when it rains. And he just go around and around and around. And I don't know how many times I did crash in the mud, you know. He just lapped me again and again and again, you know. Yeah. And then I just kept at it all summer, you know, and finally it seemed like by the end of the summer I was, you know, able to run him down and pass him. You know, but then I don't know, it might have been that same year he got a different bike too. So I think he got that one from Chad, maybe it was.
Oh yeah, that Kawasaki.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was that's how our track still is too. Ungodly greasy when it rains.
Yeah.
It's just you can't even ride it almost.
Black dirt just turns to snot.
Yeah.
And is that the time where the track went over the driveway?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Both ways.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That was where I think Dad was battling, I think with DJ Eckery, and he came and jumped the driveway approach, like just one line off of where his main line was.
Yeah.
Total endo. I think he broke one wrist or both. I think he broke his wrist.
Oh, could be.
Right in your home track, right in your front yard.
Yeah, jumping your driveway, break a wrist.
Yeah.
Right.
He said, I was holding DJ off. I thought he's something else here that Dad said, or else not. But so you mentioned living with Brian. So this will probably jump ahead a little bit here. I told Brian you were coming on. I said, you got a good Josh story for me to bring up. And this is what Brian said. He was living at my house. One day he was out running the cops on his crotch rocket, which Dad said you did a lot.
Allegedly. Throw that out there.
This is many years ago. The cops went door to door asking people if they'd seen a red crotch rocket, eventually leading them to my house. I was at his class reunion, and the sheriff's department came there and tried to arrest him, thinking it was him running. And I told the sheriffs, I have a blue bike.
Yeah.
Because Brian had a blue crotch rocket, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but like you were crazy on that crotch rocket, Josh, because I remember you as a kid. Like you'd go past Mom and Dad's house, standing wheelie at over 100 plus.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's unreal.
Just love having fun on two wheels.
Oh yeah.
Dad said you wrecked one or two bikes.
Well, I've totaled one out. And,
really?
And then I did crash the other one, but I was able to fix it, you know.
Yeah.
Gosh, what was that like? That's my worst fear, riding bike. It's like going around a corner. It's like, what would happen if I hit a sand patch and just went sliding into the ditch?
Yeah. Well, it ain't fun, I'll tell you that.
I bet it's not. It sounds scary as hell.
No, the one I totaled, I was wheeling, you know, I don't know, probably 80, you know, and come back a little too far, you know.
Oh, no. Oof,
yeah.
Just yard sailed it?
Oh, yeah. Next thing you know, I'm rolling on the shoulder and
Oh, man.
come to a stop in a cloud of dust, you know.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
But I remember watching a standing wheelie at over 100 miles an hour plus.
Yeah.
Because Dad said you leaving town or something, he was in his car, and here coming over that Lost River Hill, you had just passed him easily going 110, 120.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so I had to cross that off. So, so when did the Racing Pro with like with out of the Jessness trailer and everything? When did the Pro-5 deal kind of come into it? Or
well, that would have been after that when I was at the Soo that one year.
oh, okay, so that was maybe I reframe that then. What came first then, like the Soo stuff or the Pro-5 stuff then? So
Well,
how did the Soo come about?
It would have been the Soo, I guess. Well, at the time I was working out in Ohio, and then I'd come home for the week, and then I was only home for a couple of days, and then I think it was Gabe called me because Brady had told him, because Gabe's other driver, you know, couldn't make it. You know, Troy Hansen from Strathcona was going to ride with him, you know, and then he didn't come out there. So then Gabe was looking for a backup driver, you know. And I think Brady told him to call me. And so then he called me, whatever it was, Wednesday, I think it probably was. And I said, sure, you know. So I grabbed my riding gear and jumped in the truck and went to the Soo, you know. It was the next morning, you know. And so I got to, you know, meet, you know, all them guys, and then that, you know, kind of felt bad for the way that deal kind of turned out, you know, how it
Was that 05? Your first year going out there?
Yeah.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Here, I thought it was.
Yeah.
I thought maybe you'd went out there the year prior.
No, that was the first time there. So.
Oh, okay. So yeah. When we had Chad Deerdahl on, Chad kind of got into it on how they count Corey Davison's wins, but Corey broke down, and they brought Corey on to the team, and you were just. They in the report I seen, it said they wrote down that you had cramps or something. So
Oh yeah, well, you know, you got to have a medical reason to
why they
withdraw, you know.
Yeah.
And I guess that's how you get another backup driver, is if you got a medical issue, you know.
Oh, and he had already broke down at that time too. So
yeah,
then that's why they brought him.
Right. Yeah.
Did you get on the sled then?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, you were on the. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, Gabe, he started it, you know, and he ran till, I imagine, the first gas stop or plow break, whatever it was, you know. And then I jumped on it. And
What'd you think of the Soo? Like your first year out there?
Fun. No, I just loved it.
Yeah?
It was a lot of fun. I mean, you don't know what to expect when you go out there, you know.
Yeah.
But
Were they Edge chassis still then?
well, it was a Pro X.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it would have been it was probably an 04
Yeah.
Pro X.
Because did you have like mod sleds here at that time?
I never did. No.
No. So then to get on like a Polaris mod
Yeah,
sled out there, it was
right.
like, holy
Yeah.
cow.
Well, and it wasn't crazy, you know, but it ran good and it handled good, you know. It was just real easy and fun to drive, you know. It was no crazy horsepower or nothing like that.
Oh, really?
But it was, but it ran just great, you know. And I can't remember. I suppose it probably around about $9,000, I think, something like that, you know. And yeah, just screamed on her. You know. Yeah, just loved it.
But I mean, with some of the controversy in there, though, your name is on the history books of the Soo I-500 winner 05.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Yeah.
What Dad said you tried a year of Myra stuff. Like,
Well, I was going to.
oh, you're going.
And I want to say it was probably, well, whatever year that Fusion was. Was that a 05?
06, yeah,
06?
05, 06, yeah.
And so I'd planned, well, so after the Soo there, you know, and then, you know, I met Bert, you know, and of course Mike Stasic, you know, from Michigan there, and they were going to try to help me out, you know.
Mm-hmm. They're like, damn, this kid from Beg, he can ride.
Yeah.
It was a psycho.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Bert was able to get a couple sleds from Polaris, you know, and so I was going to use one for cross country and then build one for, you know, Myra Enduros out there.
Oh, really?
And so I mean, I had this Enduro sled built, you know, it's stock, you know, but.
What did you think of the Fusion?
Well, I don't know. It was nothing great, but it was, I mean, it just was what it was, you know.
Yeah.
It's crazy now thinking back to it that people were trying to race them. Like,
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't know that it was all that different than what followed it for a couple of years either, though.
Yeah.
I mean, chassis-wise, you know, I mean, that funky hood, but I mean, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Everything looks funky the first year out, you know.
Yeah. From
true.
the Fusion into that Dragon.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the chassis was the same, but I don't know. It could have been a little different. I don't remember. But I mean, so I was going to go out to do the Myra stuff, and it just never got any snow, or it was too warm. You know, couldn't make ice, couldn't get snow. And so whatever, after 4 or 5 races that didn't get run, there wasn't much of a season left, and Bert ended up selling the sled to one of the guys out there, you know.
Yeah. Oh, so it never actually happened for you to go?
Not really. I mean, I went out there one time. I did a few laps at Lincoln, I think it was.
Oh.
I think John Bozick was, you know, driving, and then I was going to be his backup. I want to say was it a 500 lap, I think?
Yeah, they used to do 500 laps back then.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, that was like 2 years ago where I went and raced with Carteret at Lincoln there.
Yeah.
Pretty neat track on how it's kind of all stepped down. And
Right.
It's
500 miles on a half-mile track?
500 laps.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 500 laps on a half-mile track.
Yeah. But I think when we were there, it was only 250. I think that's all they do now for half miles.
500 laps.
Yeah.
It's crazy on a half-mile track.
Yeah, and John, he was rode and rode and rode. He'd come in and get gas, and they'd plow, and he'd keep riding. There, I'm just standing there waiting, you know. Finally, I did get to put a few laps in. I think it was, mostly it was under plow brake or something, and then went green. I don't know if I don't even know if it was 10 laps maybe, and then a spindle broke.
Oh, jeez.
So then the skis backwards, you know.
Yep.
Been there, done that.
Yeah. And so, and of course they were custom made spindles too, so we didn't have a spare or anything that would work, you know.
Oh, man.
I want to say it was that IQ chassis of whatever it was, 05, the snowcross sled, the first year it came out. They'd made some shorter spindles, you know, and there was nothing to be had that was going to work, you know, that day, so...
Players struggled with spindles on those IQRs for the first handful of years there, where they tried a lot of different variations of it until they kind of came up to what they have now.
Look at them, and it doesn't look very good.
No.
Yeah, the way I remember them, the first ones, they were like a post that went through 2 big Heim joints type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Even you're looking at that like, oh, I could have made that better. But like, so then to win the Soo 05, then was it just you and Gabe in 06?
Yeah, probably so.
Or where, like, because then you were on like the XLT Engineering Pro-5 number 16 sled, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Right. Yeah, so it would have been, I guess, 06.
Yeah. There was one story I'd heard of like somebody had forgot to put chain case oil in.
Yeah, I heard about this too. Yeah, well, you know, it's a rat race, you know, there's, you know, 6 different guys going in and out of the trailer and talking about this and that and who's got this and who's got that, you know, and you get distracted and, well, you can go about, I don't know, 60 laps with no chain case.
You guys figured out that number.
Yeah, and then they came in because I was making noise or acting weird, you know, and then they realized there was no chain case oil in it, you know.
Would that have been 06?
Well, I think so. I mean, I can't say for sure, but
yeah, because I thought it was 06 or 07.
Yeah, it was one of them years. I can't remember now what it was, but yeah. So everyone was pretty tight-lipped for a while, you know. They put new chain and gears and oil in there this time, and I don't know. We went quite a few more laps, but then the crank ended up going out of it. So then it was like, wow, not that big a deal then, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wonder, like, if that had caused anything, that heat coming through.
Oh, I doubt it, but I think in one of them years, I know that Fusion was terrible for that. Is they didn't put an oiler on the mag bearing, and I want to say I went to 4 or 5 cranks.
Wow.
But, you know, DNFs at races because the crank would lock up on you. You know.
Oh, jeez.
Wow. Yeah, we had 06 Polaris 600. Yeah, there's no oiler on the mag bearing.
Yeah. Once you put one on that mag bearing, then you never have a crank problem again. You know.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they couldn't.
No one figured that out.
See that one coming. I mean, you put them on the rest of them, but you're not going to put them on that one. You know.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, geez, that's weird.
Yeah. Well, and then one time there was that Fusion. They started the 500 there at the casino, and I'd caught the guy that started ahead of me. You know, halfway to the gully road. He was like a vet, I guess, you know. But it was so much snow dust, I couldn't see well enough to get around him, you know. But I thought, well, I got to stay close. So if he slows down or whatever, I can get around him.
Yeah.
Well, couldn't see, you know, and I ended up getting in some drifts, you know, and ended up coming off the sled, you know, and cartwheels. I get up, and there's my sled. You know, the seat fell off, and the windshield fell off.
Oh, no.
I thought, man, it's going to be a long day.
Didn't Dad say that? They drove past, and they're like, hey, there's his seat.
Yeah.
Like, there's a seat there.
Yeah. And so, well, I guess I'm going to stand up today.
Oh, my gosh. For how long did you ride without a seat?
Well, I was probably 20 minutes, and then the crank went out. So I said, well.
Kind of saved you, honestly.
Yeah, you don't realize how much good that windshield does, you know.
Yeah.
It ain't fun riding without either.
No. Dad said you lost the seat multiple times. There's multiple occasions of.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm thankful probably at least 3 times that I can remember.
Oh, God.
And, of course, you know, it all started with that 99 fan, you know. They used some real
just
weak plastic, you know.
Yep. And then just them 2 bolts that kind of come up into the glove box.
Right. So you lose it the first time, you figure, well, I need to put a strap on it, you know, to hold it on there in case the bolts break or whatever, you know. And, of course, I did that for about 3-4 years, and then I just didn't happen to do it on that year on that Fusion. Next thing you know, there it is in the ditch.
Yeah, you got to be riding pretty hard to lose your seat multiple times.
Well, I mean, you crash, and, you know, just the way the plastic seat bases are, they just don't hold up. You know? You can tear them off. They're pretty easy.
God. But yeah, the double whammy of no seat and no windshield to fight in 2 battles. That would suck.
Yeah.
So, like, it was hard. It sucks of the era of the early 2000s of snowmobile racing that there's really no record of anything almost.
Right.
But I found one story of 2006 Minto where you and Corey Davison actually tied for time.
Oh.
In the Pro Open class. He was on the Yamaha at that time.
Okay.
And you guys actually tied for time, and they awarded you guys both first place points, but you flipped a coin for the trophy.
Oh, I just don't remember that. I mean, vaguely, I guess, now that you mention it, but I don't really remember it.
Like, that's one of the only things. It was on, like, the Yamaha forum page that I found that.
Sure.
Like, other than that, it's so hard to find anything else from the early 2000s.
Yeah, right. Huh. Yeah.
You hit a deer during a race.
Yeah.
That was a good segue.
Just right into my next bullet point then.
Yeah, right.
What year would that have been? A Dragon?
I want to say it was that Fusion.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
I think Grafton.
Yep. The Grafton. Yeah.
What was that like?
Well, just down on the river, you know, and you're, you know, doing all the S curves in the river, you know.
Yep.
And so you're just sliding around that ice groove, you know. I don't know if I was doing 25 or 30 maybe, you know, and it's, you know, probably a yearling, you know, you're trying to cross the ice groove, you know. It looks like a cartoon, you know, where they're running in place, you know.
Oh, yep.
Their feet are flailing. Yeah, and no, just kind of clipped it and spun it out in the snow, you know.
Oh, yeah. Dad! I remember Dad saying something like, didn't you see it coming? And he's like, I seen it coming. I wasn't going to slow down though.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a very big deer, you know, and I wasn't going super fast. You know?
Oh, sure.
You know, if you were doing 100, you'd probably think a little bit more
Yeah,
about hitting a
you
deer.
see it coming across a mile-long field up
Yeah.
in Grafton. It's like,
But if you're just, you know, sliding around a corner on the river, you know, you're doing 25 or 30 maybe, you know. Yeah, and you figure, well, either something will happen.
Yeah. It won't be too bad.
Not really worried about it.
Yeah, I'm going to just punt this deer out of the way. It won't be a big deal.
yeah. So then, like, I think 09, it was 09. You and Gabe got third out at the Soo. That was Dad's first year going out to the Soo to watch.
Okay.
You'd got tickets for Dad and Jason to go out there, like pit passes, hotel and everything. Sure. Dad said that was so cool that like they showed up, hotel was paid, pit passes. You had laid somebody had laid 2 brand new shirts out on the beds for 2 brand new Soo shirts for him, so they thought that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like something with in 09, you guys broke an A-arm or something, and you'd come in, make some laps, weld on the A-arm, run back around, jump out in front of the pace sled again. Well,
yeah, I don't remember. It might have been. I don't remember that really.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But Dad said like you guys were all really bummed on the third, and Dad's like, "You guys got third. That's pretty cool."
Yeah.
But
and you were welding on the sled in the middle of the race, and you still got third.
Yeah.
But then that would have been 09. That would have been the year the Cataract won on the Skidoo with Brian out there.
Okay.
Too. So
sure.
Through 09 and stuff, were you still doing like NATO wash and stuff like that?
Well, I want to say 09 was probably the last year I did race. Cross country or anything really.
Garrison.
Yeah.
Was last race.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a part of like a Triple Crown kind of thing they had going on at that time.
Okay.
I can't remember where the other 2 were, but yeah, it was down in Garrison where there was like, it was a 90% of the race was on the lake. And then they ran you guys up on down a tar path through the mud.
Yeah. Right.
And
yeah, it was something I mean, pretty much the way I remember it too. I mean, seemed like it wasn't optimal snow conditions, you know, and so they'd run you off the lake, you know, across some riprap.
Yeah.
And then through the woods, you know, over logs and stumps and rocks. And then run you down a tar road.
Oh, man.
And then down a sandy beach. And then back onto the lake. And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm all about cross country if you got enough snow. I mean, or if, you know, whatever. But I mean, if you got a perfectly good lake there, you know, why do you want to tear your sleds up, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. You had 90% of it on the lake. Why run that 10% through the mud?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I just kind of, at that point, decided I was done, you know.
Like Dad said you don't get mad very often, but he said you were mad that day. That you just packed up and left.
Yeah.
Like I know there was words said, but you just packed up and left. Yeah. Like you were pretty. I think it was. I had a picture printed out here.
Okay.
Was it that sled that year era or?
Oh, probably so. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that might have been. Is that an 07 maybe?
I don't know any of the Dragon years. That's
no, that wasn't. I mean, I think.
Or did the Fusion come after the Dragon?
Yeah, or the Fusion came before the Dragon,
right.
But then they switched to IQRs. I think they switched to them in like 2009, 10,
something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think the last that I remember having was an 08 Dragon. But yeah, it was one of them deals where I just was sick of, you know, showing up and doing stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, because you were kind of just a one-man team, kind of a little bit. Like Dad.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, your dad would come out and help with gas stop and whatever, and of course I had Pro-5's trailer, and it was just got to the point. I don't know if it just wasn't quite as fun as it used to be.
Yeah,
and I just didn't like the way they were doing that stuff, And it seemed like they were doing it on purpose, just to specifically not have a lake race.
Yeah.
And it's like, well,
because there was really no lake racing going on at that time. Like it was kind of like, I think Pat Mock, he didn't like lake races. He liked terrain races.
Right.
So like Pine Lake wasn't even going on at that time or nothing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I remember doing the Gonvic there, and that was pretty low snow conditions there too,
Yep.
A lot of dirt, a lot of gravel.
Gosh.
The Gonvic 100.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was my question, was that you just called it quits halfway through the season there.
Yeah.
After that race.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly.
Just Polaris here, just take your stuff back. I'm done, or?
Well, I mean, it wasn't really nothing to, I mean, it was Pro-5's trailer, but it was nothing. No one else had anything,
Yeah.
The rest of it was all mine, but whatever. Not that it was anything at all, but, no, I guess I was just done at that point.
But you have a pretty good easygoing attitude. Like Dad said one time, he had forgot to strap the toolbox or something in the trailer. or close it or something. So you come open the door and just tools right out the door.
Yeah.
And Dad's like, oh shit. And then you're just standing there like, I was going to reorganize that anyways.
Yeah. Well, I want to say I think we were like teardown at the 500 up at the casino. And I want to say I'd hooked up to the trailer and brought it from like the parking area over to where the sleds were or something. I had to load the sled up because the motor was tore down or something,
Yep.
And of course, well, how them toolboxes you got to shut the lid, they'll lock the drawers shut,
Yep.
Well, the lid didn't get shut or something, and so you go bouncing across the pits, and the drawers fall out, come out, and then all
just tips off
the bench on the floor. Yeah.
Yeah, Dad just said something too about working on stuff in the work session up at the 500 where you wanted to change drivers or something. The drivers were wearing a little funny, and you guys had a whole big laundry list of stuff to do within an hour. And Dad's like, you want to change the drivers? Oh my God. And he ended up actually getting it done and everything in the allotted time. But Dad said when you said that, he's like, oh God.
Yeah. Well, I don't remember doing the drivers, but I hate to say it didn't happen. I remember that one year I crashed a couple times and the steering post got twisted, so you're, going straight, but your handlebars are turned, almost all the way. Yeah. And so we had to change the steering post at one time.
Oofta.
But yeah, I'm sure there was lots of stuff we did. I just don't remember a lot of it.
But it was, winner of the Soo, multiple Pro Open, Pro Stock wins in USCC.
Was it getting into the Pro-5 stuff? Was it just pretty much after the Soo that one year? They just.
Well, yeah, that's, got to know Mike Stasic and then Bert and Leroy, and well, after the Soo, they kind of, felt bad on how things kind of went down,
Yeah.
And I wasn't really tore up about it, I just, I'm a new guy and things happen and it ain't going to do no good to get mad about nothing,
Yeah.
And So in a little while later, a few weeks or whatever it was, they were going to have that cross country out in Munising, Michigan.
Oh, yep.
And I was working down in Ohio again at the time, and for some reason I had my snowmobile with me down there. And so Mike calls up and says, you know, do you want to go run that cross country? You know, he said, well, bring the truck and trailer up there, you know, and, you know, the guys will come up there and help you out and whatever, you know. I thought, well, sure, that sounds like fun, you know. But I said, but my sled's not really ready to go, you know. I need to go through the shocks and this and that, you know. And he's like, well, bring it up to I think it's Colin up there, somebody up by Bay City, you know. And he said, Tom will go through it, you know, get it ready. And then when, you know, the weekend comes, we'll just, you know, load up, go up there, you know. So I brought it up there and, you know, thinking they were going to rebuild the shocks and this and that, you know. And then they ended up getting of course, they came with like Ride FX, you know, rebuildable shocks, you know. But then they had got some Walker Evans built and overnighted out there, you know, and put them on there, you know. So I figured I was ready, you know. And so we go up to Munising, and I can't remember exactly. It was a pretty long lap, and someone was out on the bay, and then out through an island, and then, you know, through the wood, all woods after that, you know. And there was, if you right along, it's M28. There's the main road that goes through Munising.
Oh, yep.
There's about a 2 or 3 mile stretch, you know, where all the trail sleds would run up and down, you know, and, you know, hundreds of sleds every day, you know. And so it looks like about a 3 mile whoop section, you know. And of course, out in the woods, you know, your holes are, you know, 4 or 5 feet deep. It's all the snow, and then you get in that road ditch, and it's just steady. It's like washboard, but way bigger, you know. And I mean, you know, it's pretty rough, you know. And so you go as fast as you think you can, and you know, I don't know. I think I passed a couple of guys in there, you know. But I'm thinking about this. I'm like, well, they're all the same size. There ain't no odd one out there. So I think I can hold it wide open.
In theory.
You know, it's I mean, I went through there one time, you know, as fast as I could, and thinking, well, I think I can go a little bit faster next time, you know. Yeah. And of course, I had a whole lap to think about it. And so when I finally decided I was going to do it when I got there again, you know, and that's what I did. I held it, locked your feet in the stirrups, and held that tight as you can on the handlebars, wide open, you know, open. I'm either going to make it or I ain't, you know. Yeah. And well, the first time I came by there was, you know, before I'd figured this out, there was a few cars, you know, not many. But then the second time I came around, I mean, it was cars from start to finish, you know. And I got done with the race, you know, and Mike came in the trailer, and he said, yeah, we were in the gas station, and someone came in there and said, everyone's got to go out to the 28 and watch the 16 sled come by. Yeah, so that's why all the cars were there, I guess. Yeah. And so, however, I can't remember if it was, I imagine it had to be timed, you know. And Mike's like, he's like, I don't understand how deer all's ahead of you. He said, you were way faster in that ditch there. I said, well, you know, out in the woods where the holes are so deep, you know, I'm getting a little bit tired, and he's not, you know. And I'm pretty sure Brian ended up winning. I think I got second, if I remember right. But it was, I don't know, just a memorable story.
Dad told me that exact story. That he said, like, it was just like a foot or 2 feet deep, just chopped, just straight across the top. Right. You just blitzed him. And then, like, he said it was unreal that Brian beat you, but you had said that he got you in, like, back in the woods where it was like 4 or 5 foot deep holes. He got you back there.
Right. And I mean, they never end, you know, it's just one after another, you know, it's for miles, you know, and it's like, holy smokes, I'm tired, you know.
I think, was that the one where Dad said you put a snowcross track in? like overnight. Like,
yeah.
because you thought it'd be better.
It was out in Munising, but it was probably like the following year or something.
Yeah, where you thought it'd be better in the deeper snow where it was, but then in the tighter woods, he said it was too much bite almost.
Yeah, it would really hooked up. You know that. Yeah,
which would make you even more tired.
Right.
Yeah. It's pretty funny racing all cross country, you know, and then two dudes from Michigan or two dudes from Bagley.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a story that Dad had said. Oh, yeah, bring this one up.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah. So I mean, after that, you know, Mike and Bert, you know, they liked me, and they said, well, you know, you want to race next year, you know, and I said, yeah, you know, and of course, everything in the past, I mean, I'd always, you know, everything out of my own pocket, you know.
Yeah.
And so Bert had talked to race director, you know, and got a couple sleds, you know, and so I'd go up there during the week, you know, and work on the sleds up there, and yeah,
that was about that. That was as factory as it gets.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I don't know, I mean, they were super good guys, you know. They're a lot of fun, you know, a lot of history, you know, and but nothing was all that high tech and fancy, you know. I mean, it's kind of a farm shop, you know, and you know, they had what they needed, obviously, you know, but it wasn't like what you might envision.
Yeah, sure.
But I mean, they were kind of getting to the end of their little era anyway. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Dad said it was pretty cool. Like when he was able to go up there with you and whatnot, and just like the stacks of hoods that they'd have and like just the spare stuff like that. He thought it was always so cool.
Yeah. Right. No, they had a lot of stuff around there. It was pretty handy, you know, you could just about find anything you needed, you know.
Yeah.
And if they didn't have it, well, a day or two later you would. So.
And so going from your own pocketbook to that must have felt pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it helps tremendously, you know.
Yeah.
Do you still have that old black mod sled?
Yeah.
You still have that one? What's the origin story on that one?
Well, that was just a 04 Pro X that I had bought. I bought it brand new went out to the dealer in Mayville. They had one out there.
Oh.
So we just did like the dealer trade type of thing or whatever, you know. And because that I mean, I think I picked that up like part of the way through the season. Just kind of, I hadn't really done much in 03. And then I thought, well, I'm going to do it again in 04, you know. And so the Pro X was a pretty good sled, so I went and got one of them. And so that was the one I rode up in Munising there. That first year they had a race up there. And then the following year, then in the Fusion. And then Bert says, well, it's, you know, how about making your Pro X into a mod, you know? So we ended up taking the motor out of the winning Soo sled, putting it in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so, I went to a few races with it. And it was, you know, it ran good. It was fun. One time, you know, I was a little overconfident, you know, thinking I didn't have to ride so hard because it was, you know, faster, you know, but I ended up just getting a little bit lazy, you know. And so Brian beat me, you know. And I was thinking, well, you know, goes to show me, you know, I shouldn't sandbag, you know, just thinking, you know, I got a little extra speed, you know, I don't have to ride as hard, you know. And so, I mean, it's something you should already know, but you got to be reminded the hard way, you know. But
like one question is the old Kinko grain shovelers as gloves. Like there's like, I think it's even in that picture too. I think
probably
Kinko's.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just an old leather glove.
Well, I don't know. They never give me blisters, and I never got cold that I remember. I mean, back then, I don't know. You just couldn't. you buy like dedicated or specific snowmobile gloves, and they weren't very good.
Yeah,
they'd wad up on you. They give you blisters.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's what my dad said. He could never figure the palms out.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. I mean, Choco had them good leather gloves, that your dad always had. I ended up getting some, and they were about the only good snowmobile gloves I ever found,
Yeah.
Everything else was just not that good.
Yeah. Well, it must have been pretty cold that day. You actually had some muffs on.
Oh, yeah.
Over the Kinkos that day.
Sure. It was cold that day because I put too much tape around my goggles. And so wasn't very far into it. That was the word Ada, I think.
Oh, okay.
And wasn't very long, and all I had was about the size of a nickel that I could look through my goggles.
Oh my gosh!
The rest was all frost.
Mm-hmm.
So and it's it's just kind of almost in the center, so I had to turn my head just a little bit, look out with one eye.
Oh my
man!
Yeah. 5 minutes in.
Well, it wasn't very long. It was just too much tape. Not enough ventilation, condensation, frosted up, and
yep.
Yeah. Well, and then of course there's another cold weather story too. One of them years, the 500, probably 07, I'm guessing. I looked at the forecast, and it was going to be 30 below every morning, all 3 mornings.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I've gotten frostbite before, and it ain't no fun.
No.
And so I went out into the cold storage at Pro-5 there and rounded up the tallest windshield I could find. It was like probably the tallest one they made, for a touring sled,
Yeah.
You could sit on the seat and look through the top of it. And so I got up there and signed up, at the pits and all that, and everyone's looking at that sled and they're kind of chuckling, and then someone would look at it a little longer, like, that's probably a good idea, And then one rider from Alaska there, he's like, I like your windshield. He's laughing, being sarcastic. And of course, I look over at his, and he's got this Yamaha, and his windshield's about the size of this piece of paper,
Yeah. Yep. Just barely nothing.
I said, well, I think it's going to be cold. He says, oh, I'm from Alaska. I'm used to it. I said, all right. Good luck.
Good for you, man.
Well, he ended up getting frostbite, and I'm pretty sure he had to have skin grafts to fix it.
Shit.
And so some people laughed at it, and some people thought it was a pretty good idea,
Yeah.
And then, of course, I think the last thing your dad says to me is, don't break your windshield.
Yeah. Did you see other people find taller windshields after they saw yours?
I don't really remember it because, there wasn't nothing as tall as the one I had. It was a touring windshield,
Yeah.
The big grandpa windshield, yeah.
Yes, it was, too. But it worked good. I didn't get cold. I didn't, no frostbite. I think DJ got frostbite that race, too, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah.
About like Dustin Dorn's windshield he had up at the Iron Dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one he had.
Mine was a lot bigger and wider than that. Yeah.
How many times did you race the 500?
Well, I tried it first time in '99 on that Gen 2 fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in second place on the third day. And with like 50 miles to go, float stuck or something in the carburetor, and it just flooded out and could not get it started again. And I don't know, the only thing we ever figured out is they didn't have a fuel filter on them. It was just a pickup screen in the tank,
Yeah.
And so we figured it must have been something just got in and stuck that needle and seat,
Just something random.
Yeah, it was, you pulled the vent lines off the airbox, and you pull it over and the gas would just shoot out of them vent lines, So something was not right. But after I got home and took it apart, I never did find anything wrong, but it never did it again either. So it's pretty weird, but we always had fuel filters after that,
Yeah.
But so that was the first time. The second time would have been 01 in the fan again. And I started off, I made it about, 15 miles maybe, and the crank bearing went out.
Oh, man.
And that was, I don't know, them 99 seemed to be, I think they had too much bearing crush on the crankcase, you know?
Yeah.
And so a few of them went out, you know, and they ended up, I don't know, I know we had one of them line board, you know, loosened up a little bit. Mm-hmm. And, but mine, I ran some premix in it for a while besides the oil injection. And then I had the injection pump cranked up a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
And it never gave me a problem for a couple of years that I had the sled, you know? And then for some reason I thought, well, I don't need all that extra oil, you know?
Oh, sure.
So I backed the oil pump down to factory, you know, the line, index marks, and, you know, I'm at 15 miles. And then I said, crank locked up, you know? And so, but then.
So 0 for 2 right off the bat.
Right. And then, so the next time would have been on that Pro X, would have been the 600 class. And I want to say I ended up getting third. Yeah, because I started off, it's a nice sunny day. I started off with Brian Dick. And I'm thinking, well, I don't know who this guy is, you know. Mm-hmm. But I thought, I need to make sure I get ahead of him so I ain't got no snow dust. I can got clear sailing, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because his brother had raced a little bit, his brother Jeff. And he was pretty fast, you know, but I don't know this Brian Dick, you know. Mm-hmm. And so I think I got off the line ahead of him. And then we come to the first approach, and I tapped the brakes, and he didn't. And so he was ahead of me. I thought, well, I guess I'll just follow him. You know, maybe I'll learn something or whatever, you know, or maybe he'll crash. I don't know. And let's see, I remember getting, well, maybe this might be 2 different races now, too, though. Because there was one time when I missed a marker or something, so I didn't turn when I should have. Ended up going across the field, following tracks, but no markers, you know. So
was that when everybody got lost up on the res? Or
could have been. I don't remember if it was the same spot or not. But then I think that same race, I ended up coming into a corner in the woods too fast and ended up in a patch of willows, you know. Oof. And I thought, oh, I'm done, you know. And that was I think it was the first year, or the first sled I had that had the electronic reverse. Yeah. So I hit that button, you know, and so the motor dies down and it picks up backwards, you know. Yep. Pull it to the bar and back up, hit it again and go forward. Oh, my God. That's the best thing ever. Yeah. Because the one time we went out to, that time we went up to West Yellowstone back in, would have been 98. I ended up getting stuck under a pine tree. You know, I mean, so I don't know how much snow is out there, but it's a ton of it, you know, and it was in March, so it was like 50 degrees out, so the snow was wet and heavy, and, you know, you're going through them holes and bouncing this way and that way, and I ended up getting off the track and, like, nose diving underneath this pine tree, you know, so I'm in this hole, and the sled is too heavy. I can't pick it up. I can't dig it out. I can't do nothing, you know. The track spins, and there I sit, you know. And so when that had to reverse that time on them willows, that was
game changer.
Oh, yeah, that was nice. Yeah. And then I think it was that same race too. I remember there was whatever trail it was, an old logging road or whatever it was, but it was just straight as an arrow, and you know, narrow, and just full of pin popples, you know, both sides. And so it's like you're running like railroad tracks, you know, through a tunnel, and it's like, God, the sled will go faster, but I just can't do it. I just can't go any faster. I mean, 80 is as fast as I can go. Yeah. The sled will go faster, but I ain't going faster than 80. You know,
gosh.
Until I get through there, you know. And then I remember talking to Corey later that day about it, and he's like, yeah, he said, that's all the faster I could go too. He said, I think it's a little bit scary, you know. But, you know.
So I think we have one of your bibs on the wall over there.
Okay.
We had that up there pretty much, I think, since we started this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any idea what year that one's from?
Well, fans, that'd probably be like 99, I'm guessing. Because it was North Star, I think, in 98.
Oh.
And then they changed it to First American North Star in like 99. or possibly 2000. I don't know. Somewhere in that area, I guess. Yeah.
It's pretty cool that it's stuck around.
Yeah. Well, you flip it around, it's got 16 on it, and that's what I wore during the Pine Lake race.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that thing just raced last year.
Okay. Yeah.
Flip it around, and it's still yours.
Yeah. So then, then the other, let's see, as far as the 500, so I tried it on the Fusion. Of course, that's when I lost my seat and windshield, and then the crank went out. And then I don't know if I did it in 06. Or I can't remember if it was 07. But then I think it was at one of them years, 07 or 08, I think I ended up getting second.
Yeah, that's what I knew you'd gotten second one time.
Yeah, right.
God, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. 2 dudes from Bagley.
Yeah. Lived in the same house and
Yeah.
rode 2 different Browns, but
That's still both
neat.
fast.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah. Did you ever think of going to a different brand at all?
Not really, no. I mean, I guess I was always a Polaris guy, and then always worked on them, with their deal. And one time, I think Tom Lawrence was over there at Brian's, and he asked me if I'd ever want to ride a Skidoo. And I said, no, not really,
But you'd actually, I think it was the first year of Pine Lake when it came back around, maybe 11, 12, or 13, where you had actually kind of thought about a comeback a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. You kind of looked into it because I remember talking to you about it, that to bring that old black mod sled out there. But I think it was something with that was when the Pro Open had an 1.25" rule still.
Oh.
I want to say, and you thought that was really silly.
Well, I've always thought that track rule is dumb.
Yeah.
It's just, you don't run super swampers on the street. It's like, why do you need 1.25" on the ice?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we've talked about that many times.
Oh yeah.
Because what do you have, a 1 inch in that one, or would it be even less than a 1 inch?
Oh, I don't remember. I don't have one in there now at all. But
I can't.
But whenever we were on the lakes a lot, I mean, an 8.2 was a pretty good track. I mean, of course, the fans didn't have that much horsepower, so it seemed like I'd run the track for 2 years.
Yeah.
On one of them sleds, with them low lugs,
Yep. Now our 1.25" last 2 weekends.
Yeah.
But I thought that if that would have happened, that would have been pretty cool. But I remember I thought you'd said it was, you didn't want to do a track swap, or you didn't want to put an 1.25" in there or something.
Oh, well, I don't remember. I guess I told you what I told you, but I don't remember. Yeah.
Huh.
Did you think about coming back and racing? Again after that at all?
Well, I'm sure I did, but I mean, it probably didn't last for more than a few minutes.
Yeah, just a fun memory fun thought to throw around.
Yeah, that's just it. We had fun while you were doing it, but it's like, well, I don't know.
Yeah. What about now? 40 plus?
No, I don't know. I ride the 4-wheeler for 15 minutes. I can barely walk. So.
New Polaris sleds are pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Unboxed mine today, or got it running today anyways. It's man, it's going to be quite a change, I think. Then stuck with the Liberty engine since 01 or whatever the heck it was. And now they changed up the engine on them. Looks pretty sweet. Pretty simple.
Sure.
So excited to see what it'll do.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't know what to think jumping on these new sleds and how high you sit up.
Whenever you see them, it's like, I don't know.
They were slowly kind of raising themselves from your Gen 2 to the Edge to the Dragon, and I remember. So Dad, I think it was this Dragon that Dad bought from you.
Is either that one or the one after that.
He bought it from you for a week.
Yeah, I think he said. It was a pretty nice, clean sled. I might have had 1,200 miles on it.
Yep.
And it was. I don't think there was a scratch on it. I mean, it was nice, clean. And he's like, well, he said, I kind of want to buy it, but I don't know. I mean, I'm like, well, if you just take it, if you don't like it, I'll give you your money back.
Yeah.
He's like, well, all right then, And So he took it, and then I don't know if it was a day or two later, maybe even that same day, he called me back, and he's like, it's not very fast.
That's what I have that written down. He said it would only go like 96 or 97 miles an hour.
Yeah, I don't know. Don't ask me why.
And he thought, man, how hard is Josh riding this thing for him to be competitive? And it's only going 97 miles an hour. Because I think that was right before Dad maybe bought that Snow Pro 600. He was debating between that one and a Snow Pro 600.
Sure.
That he ended up getting that 2008 model Snow Pro.
Yeah.
But yeah, his Dragon test ride only lasted less than a week. I would say.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, they always ran good, but I don't know. It just wasn't as fast as it should have been. Yeah. But no, and of course. So we jump back to the Fusion. Leroy ran it on the dyno a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he was able to. And then the motor department in Polaris, so they reprogrammed ECM, and I don't know exactly what they did, but it was better. The Fusion was, and. That one weekend we went out there, it was like a double header. They was raced in Minto on the Saturday and then Grafton on Sunday. That was that time we had that deer,
Oh, really?
And, well, through all this testing, and dynoing, I can't remember. I think they say you're supposed to run about 8250 or something like that. 82, I can't remember. So anyway, Leroy says, run it, 150 to 200 RPMs higher than that. And we'd come up with, mix 50% pump gas and 50% like 110. And so whatever they'd done in the ECM, and whatever, it ran great. It screamed and it ran and it was fast.
Yeah.
And then I want to say their dyno broke down after that. And they never got around to fixing it again. Yeah. And so I think we always just had factory ECMs after that because they couldn't really, test,
They couldn't play around with it like they did
tested, right.
on the Fusion.
They could program it however, but it wasn't going to, tell them what Leroy wanted to know as far as,
Oh, wow.
As far as the dyno worked.
Now, like the last 3 years, Polaris just been on the dyno, just steady with the improvements they've made.
Yeah, I wonder how many tunes they have. It's got to be a lot.
Yeah. We could give Alex a call.
Yeah. How many tunes do you guys have?
I don't think he would tell us.
No.
Yeah, other than that new one, I see they got a nice quick connect. You can download, pop the hood off, and you connect a laptop right to it.
Yep.
Right from the factory.
Sure.
Pretty nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Just plug a computer right into the motor.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's how the engineering had it, they get their little plug in, they can, they know what they're doing and they can change it or whatever, but, and that reminds me back in the 99 fans, the book said to run them at 7,500 RPMs. And so we're always trying to, clutching to, 7,500. And they ran fine, but they just, no speed.
Yeah.
And, I remember running a 500 up there and it seemed like you're going for 20 miles wide open across the lake, It's like, I see 81, maybe 82, Yeah. And then once your dad figured out they needed to be run about 7,900, another 400 RPMs higher, well, then you'd see 91, 92, And so I was always curious on, how they come up with that number of 7,500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
And back then, you could never get anything out of Polaris as far as any numbers or dyno charts or anything.
Really?
It's like they wouldn't. Any Arctic Cat rider you talk to, they could tell you the horsepower of their sled, and they'd all tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
Polaris, they're like, well, we don't tell people that, we don't put that out. just be kind of, you know, be nice to know.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see the dyno, you know, sheet for
like
for that
what's
motor,
it actually supposed to be?
Right. So I mean, just think of, you know, if you're running your motor 400 RPMs lower than you're supposed to be, you're fighting a losing battle there.
Yeah.
It went from, you know, after you figured out to run at that speed, you know, it felt like you went from being half throttle to full throttle, you know. But
we joke about that all the time in our group chats of more RPM is more speed. No matter what.
Yeah.
Well, them old 97, 98s we ran, you know, we'd run pretty low gears in them, and you'd max the clutches out, and then they'd start climbing in RPMs, you know, they just kind of keep climbing. Kind of overwind, you know. But then after that, they didn't seem to do that after that era, you know. It was that motor, I guess. But.
So like the Soo I-5 in 05 would have been racing against Collins' 05 triple build.
Yeah, Justin Winters.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the one that his brother is going to be racing at Pine Lake this year for this greasy triple class.
Sure. Yeah.
Please tell me that sled was slow. Like when you were out there,
I don't remember
passing Justin Winter that sled's slow.
Well, I don't remember. I mean, when I got there, you know, Gabe had already had it qualified in whatever it was. I want to say about 14th or 15th or whatever, you know.
Were you on was that a twin?
Yeah.
Twins at that time?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a EV twin. And so I don't really remember anyone else if they were fast or not. I mean, everyone's fast in qualifying, or most of them were, you know, and then they'll switch to their race setup after that, you know, and I guess we never really tried with a qualifying setup. It was always, you know, set it up like you're going to start the race with it. And it's not real critical to your qualifying position, I guess, you know. Bragging rights is about it, you know. And
pretty much.
Anything can change in 500 miles, you know.
Oh, yeah. But then if you start in the back and then you finish up towards the front, you get like this hard charger award. It's like, hell yeah. Look at all those people I passed.
Yeah. Right. Well, that reminds me of another story. When probably this year, the picture there ran the 500 class, ran that old Gen 2 anniversary edition, you know.
Oh, the 2000.
Yeah. And you could take off like that sled and that 500, you know, take off side by side down the ice groove, and that 600 would jump out about, I don't know, 150 feet, maybe 200. And then it would kind of stay there, and then you get up top speed, and then that 500 would slowly inch up on that 600 and then inch past it, you know. And it wasn't like you were in a draft either. It was just, you know, the thing would. And one of the Polaris engineers had once told me that Gen 2 was the most aerodynamic body style.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess that must have been what the difference was, because, I mean, the 500 was a good motor, but that 600 is more horsepower.
Yeah. We look at the rolling resistance in the skid frame compared to that Gen 2. It's night and day difference. What you can do to it.
Well, that's why, because Dad remembered doing those speed runs and whatnot on that old 2000 back in the day, and then so that was what made him get that 2000 again, like in 2010, 2011. And then sure enough, it turned out to be super fast again. So that was a good sled.
And so then, I didn't race much the year before, I don't think. Or actually I did. That one year, I think in 2002, I went at a 440 Pro X liquid. And I ended up running that Central Minnesota series. It used to be the Heartland series. And then once the Gunnar Westberg there, he passed away, and then another outfit started up, you know, or kind of took it over and changed the name, whatever. So I ended up running the pro class and ended up winning the 440 championship that year.
Oh, really?
In that deal. It wasn't top competition like it had been in the past. I mean, there were some fast guys there, but it wasn't like stacked field like, you know, 3-4 years before that either. So it was fun. You know, I never did win a race that season, but I finished every race and consistently to the, you know, up near the top. So ended up doing that. And but then in 03 I didn't get a sled, but that was the year they went those 500s.
Yeah. What'd you think of that? Like going from those, when they went from 440s to 600s and then down to 500.
Well, did they go to 600s or did they went to 500s first?
Oh, they went from 440 to 500. Yeah, that was correct.
Well, you know, they were just trying to, you know, do a consumer sled class instead of a purpose-built race class. And I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I mean, you kind of, there's pros and cons. I mean, you kind of like the 440 just because of the whatever the history or nostalgia and it's always been there. And then it's, you know, it's something just a little bit better than the factory. I mean, the consumer gets, you know.
Yep.
And so you kind of like that, but at the same time, you can see what they're trying to do, you know.
Yeah. But then that was only a 1 year deal, and then right up to 600s the next year. Right. It's like, holy cow, these things are fast.
Yeah. But anyway, so I went somehow in qualifying. I don't know. I didn't do very good qualifying. I think I ended up crashing one time or something. And then, so I want to say they said 3 rows start for the final. So I was in the 3rd row. And, of course, I spun out like I usually did. So I was dead last off the line, you know, and I ended up passing all the way up to 2nd.
Yeah.
And they said I was I think Justin Winter win it that year, you know.
Yep.
But so I was catching them every lap until I started getting tired and then started falling back a little bit. But yeah, seemed like there was almost 0 snow on the lake. It was almost glare ice. And so, you know, you could pick lines and do this and that. And it's like, I don't know, it almost felt like it was cheating because it just handled so much better and it was obviously faster, you know.
Yeah.
And so it was fun, you know, obviously, but it would have been more fun to win. But whatever.
Any bar banging against Brady when you passed him? Because he got 3rd in Pro 500.
That third of Pro 500. Yep.
Yeah, I don't remember it. Any details on it. I mean, I remember passing Corey and passing Gabe. I don't remember passing Brady or not, but yeah, I know Gabe asked me after the race. He's asked me if I had it paid for yet or something like that. But yeah.
No, that's a good career, Josh. That is pretty damn cool.
Yeah, it totally is. It's freaking cool.
Yeah.
So like after you were done there, you kind of stepped away from the sport and everything and like you did a lot of working on the road and weren't really around much.
Right.
But you got into shooting competitions.
A little bit, yeah.
Like
little bit.
You got deep into it. I remember you bought this first like Barrett 50 caliber rifle.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a Barrett, it was a Bushmaster, but
okay.
But yeah.
It was a 50 cal, and we thought it was the coolest thing. And I can't remember how old I was. I was young, though. The gun was taller than me when we were at your house shooting it, and I thought it was a freaking cannon off a tank. It was so cool.
Right. Well, you don't see them every day, so it's pretty neat.
No, yeah. You got into that and like shooting competitions of shooting like over a mile.
Well, the matches I did were like 1,000-yard matches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then just for fun, you know, I'd go out on the weekends, you know, and set up targets, you know,
over a mile.
Yeah.
So, what made you get into the long range shooting?
I don't know. I just
thought it'd be fun.
It'd be neat, you know. I mean, me and Brian used to drive around, you know, and shoot stuff, you know.
Really, that's normal, but then to take it a whole nother level.
You know, I don't know if it's just something you start doing stuff, you get kind of obsessed with it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, well, you want to do the best you can. You
know?
You know, you're not going to settle for this or that. You're going for more, you know.
Because you were like working in North Dakota at the time, and like you drive down all the way to like Nebraska, weren't you, for like competitions and whatnot? And
yeah.
That's
I went gone to Nebraska a few times. There's a range out there in northwest Nebraska, and I went down to Shreveport, Louisiana, a couple times.
Wow.
Down in Georgia, past like other side of Atlanta, a couple times. Went out to Washington State once. Yeah.
And this is all with that 50 cal?
Yeah. New Mexico a couple times. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it was a lot of fun.
So you got into it. I remember like you were making when we'd show up to your house and whatnot, you'd show us what you made to improve the shooting, where you've made your own pads and everything for the gun to sit on.
Sure.
Your own rests.
Yeah.
And then you actually started making your own barrel. Was that right off? That wasn't right off start. That was like a year.
Yeah, it was a little farther down the road, but well, you know, I mean, when you start shooting a 50, you know, I mean, it's you know, you start thinking you want to shoot farther, you know, and it's pretty addicting, you know.
Yeah.
You know, if you never shot a long range, you know, it's something else once you start doing it, you know.
Yeah.
And well, of course, so at that point I started getting into reloading, you know, my own ammo, and well, I could never really get that factory barrel to shoot great, you know. And so then I was gonna set the chamber back, so I got a chamber reamer and was trying to find somebody that could, you know, with a lathe that would do it for me, you know. And I couldn't really find anyone to do it, you know, nearby, you know. So I thought, well, I've always wanted a lathe, you know, so I better just get one and do it myself.
This is a good reason to get a lathe now to make my own barrel.
Yeah. So so once I figured out that factory barrel was probably never going to shoot very well anyway, you know, then I ordered, you can get rifled blanks, you know. So you've got, you know, a bored and rifled barrel, but then I'd end up doing all the finish work myself, fitting it, you know, and all that. But yeah, it's just as technical as anything else could ever be, you know, snowmobiles or anything, you know. It all depends on how technical you want to get with it, you know.
Did you get into rifling your own barrel?
No, that's a little bit, takes some pretty specialized equipment, you know.
Yeah.
And there aren't many people that are going to do that themselves, you know.
Yeah, that's another level too.
Yeah.
Well, did you read a book? I like just you get a lathe. Like, how do you start? Like,
well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd use the lathe just a little bit, like up at Pro-5 there, you know. And it's always nice to be able to, if you want to do something, you can actually do it, you know, and not just think about it, you know. And so I got that lathe, and
then you're like, I need a mill. So then you got a mill.
Yeah.
So you just started playing around with it and learning it.
Right.
God, that's freaking cool.
Yeah. And of course, with the competitions, you know, there's different classes with that too, you know. And so I would usually shoot hunter, which is like off the ground with a bipod, you know. And then they've got like light, heavy, and unlimited classes, you know, which you can shoot off the bench, you know, and so you can have rests and this and that. And so, you know, I ended up building some rests, you know, just because I could,
and they were freaking sweet.
They worked pretty good.
Yeah, they were cool.
Yeah, and then well, you just learn all kinds of stuff while you're doing it, you know, machining and, you know, all the metalworking and all that stuff, you know,
and it helps being a super smart guy like you are, and like to do all this shit.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's just if it's what you're interested in, you know, and you just keep learning more, and figure out what works and what don't work, and
yeah, that's freaking cool.
Yeah, no, but it was a lot of fun, and I think I ended up. I want to say I won like 4 matches that I went to. It like they generally do like a 2-gun is what they call it. So you shoot 2 different classes, and then it's like the combined tally of however they compute it, you know. And I ended up, I think, won like 4 of the 2-gun matches, but yeah.
That's pretty damn cool.
Yeah. And once I got a good quality barrel on there, it immediately shot better. You know, it went from being shooting decent once in a while to shooting like really good all the time.
Consistent.
Yeah. And so I was like, wow. So
yeah, now you can actually compete.
It makes a difference.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I first started at the factory gut rifle, you know, you go out there and your target at 1,000 yards is like 6 foot square, you know, and so you've got all your rings, you get your X and your, you know, 9, 8, 7, all down to, you know, 6 ring, you know, and, you know, you might shoot a 36-inch group, you know, at 1,000 yards. And it's like, well, that's terrible.
Yeah, that's not very good.
Right. But I mean, there's some factory guns will shoot better than that, but a lot of them won't either, you know. But then once you get, you know, a good load and good rifle, good habits, all that, you know, you go from shooting 36-inch group down to, you know, a 7-inch group.
Yeah. There you go.
4-inch group, you know.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's cool. When all the bullets are lined up inside the hand of the
And of course the way that works, you know, there's the targets are set up like they're called pits. And so every time you shoot, someone pulls a target down, they put a marker up on that, you know, so you can see where your bullet hole was. Put like an orange disc up there, you know. Run it back up so you can see where your last shot was. And shoot again, then run it down, patch it again, you know. And so you'll end up with, you know, 5 markers on there, you know, and so you can see where you're hitting, you know. And it's pretty fun, you know, when you run it down and run it back up, and it's right where it's supposed to be.
It's the same sticker basically.
Right.
Yeah.
It's, no, it's a lot of fun. And one thing it's pretty fun that probably a lot of people don't get to see is the vapor trail, you know, when you shoot. And it's pretty hard to see it at shorter distances because it takes just a second to, you know, regain your point of aim, you know, so you got your target back in your crosshairs, you know, but you get it so you shoot and then you can see that bullet drop right into that target. I mean, the vapor trail, you know. Yeah. And so you say, well, yeah, that looked like it was right in there. You know?
That's sweet.
Yeah. Oh, it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
I remember like we were over at your place in the dark or something, and you had some incendiary rounds.
Oh, sure.
And just tracer rounds into the pile, or just boom, 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 and you could just in the dark, you could see them glowing bullets go through the dark. That was so cool.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Another time that I think it was just me and Dad over there, but night vision goggles. I don't know.
Brothers
yeah. And he started shooting tracer rounds, and I had those night vision goggles on at night. And holy crap, were they really glowing then with the night vision with the tracer rounds? Holy, you just watch them bounce and fly and go everywhere. It's freaking cool.
Yeah. I think what happens on them tracers, that that little compound that burns in the base of them, I think that something ends up popping out of there. Because you'll shoot at a paper target or something like a piece of plywood, you know, and it ain't shooting the bullet ain't flying off. You know, at 90 degrees. It's that little compound in the back of it, you know.
It's like, holy, that ricochet! That ricochet is going.
They just go everywhere. It looks like a fireworks show.
Hopefully, it don't meet Bagley or something.
Yeah. Yeah. But once I don't know, you just the more you do it, the more you learn, the more you read, the more you want to try other stuff, you know. And you know, you start out with using, you know, subpar components, you know, and then you get better stuff all the time, you know. And once I started shooting the solid lathe turned brass bullets, you know, and then that really helped too, you know. Get a lot more consistent that way, you know. Like them lead jacketed lead bullets, you know, some of them shoot good and then some of them not, you know. You get them flyers, you know. That's just kind of the nature of it, but yeah.
And reloading all your own shells, you get to pick and choose exactly what's going in the shell, and so you can you can take out the primer and try a new primer if you want to, or new bullets, new powder.
Right. Oh, I burned through lots of lots of components doing that, you know, trying to find a little better load, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
End up, you know, of course, getting a chronograph and, you know, so you can measure your speed of your bullets, you know, so you're always looking for consistency, you know. And like with the reloading, you know, always trying to get everything precise, you know. Ended up getting like an analytical scale, you know, so you can, I mean, you can weigh pills if you want. I mean, it's super, super precision, you know.
That's what we use for our clutch weights.
Real fine.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, you could put a dead fly on it and it'll tell you what it weighs, you know. It's like, it's pretty into it, I guess. But
that's getting into it.
I remember I'd weigh all my bullets, all my cases, you know, and weigh the powder charges down to the kernel, you know. And well, you know, it might not all be necessary, but if you think you did it all, you know, you feel better about it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you know, going into the competition that everything is as perfect as you could get it.
Right.
It sounds addicting.
It is.
Yeah, it sounds really addicting.
Yeah.
Has it been a while since you did that then?
Yeah, I haven't taken the gun out of the case in probably 5 years.
Oh, really?
Wow. Jeez.
Yeah. No, so you know, you started doing them 1,000 yards, you know, and then well, of course, every now and then we go out and shoot like a mile or something, you know, which is kind of hard to do because, you know, it's hard to find a good place to do it, you know.
Yeah.
For one, you know, you think, well, flat ground, that's great, you know. Well, it's not because the mirage is so terrible. You know, you almost need an elevated position or an elevated target, you know. That's so just to find a decent location where you can set up a target and then shoot and then go check it, you know, it's pretty difficult to do, you know.
Wasn't it something, I remember it being something crazy of when you're shooting a mile on like how high, because the bullet arches. Yeah. On like how, like if you're standing 5 feet off the ground or something. Yeah. On how high that bullet has arched in the middle.
Right. Yeah, I don't remember what it is at a mile, but it's only a fraction of what it is at 2 miles. So.
Nah, holy shit.
Yeah.
What's the farthest have you shot out to 2 miles?
Yeah.
Yeah. God.
Yeah, I was out in the national grasslands out in North Dakota, you know. So it's all like pasture land, you know. And so I'd get a rangefinder out and find a spot to do it, you know. So somewhere you can, you know, sit, you know, set up and sit and then put the target, you know, and be able to go check it, you know, without having to walk all the way out there, you know. Somewhere you can get out there with the truck. Yeah. And I set up a target one time. It was like half a sheet of plywood, you know, and set it up out there. It was like just a hair over 2 miles, you know.
Gosh.
3,581 yards or something. But so there's a lot that goes into doing that, you know. To have a scope or an adjustable base, you know, to do that, you know, because I something took like I want to say like 212 minutes of angle or something like that, you know, to get from, you know, so you have your crosshairs on the target. And so if 212 minutes, I don't know, it's like, it'd be like 21 feet high at 100 yards, you know.
At 100 yards. Yeah. Holy crap.
Yeah. And so I don't know, I can't remember what, we got like a little handheld, like a PDA with firing program in it, you know. So you put all your parameters in there, you know, and it'll tell you all your velocities at your ranges and your elevation, and the highest point in the arc and all that stuff, you know. And I forget what it was. It was like, I want to say it was almost 100 yards, like above line of sight.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. that's how much that bullet is arcing.
Yeah, right.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and well, of course, I mean, everyone watched the sniper movies or whatever, you know, and so you hear all these little different things, you know, but, you know, the Coriolis effect and this and that, and and you know, it's all figured into that program, you know. So as long as you got good numbers you're putting in there, it'll give you an accurate, readout.
Yeah.
You know, just a solution, you know, for your adjustments. But
yeah, it's calculating all them variables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like at 2 miles, are you calculating like the rotation of the Earth?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
How about the curvature?
Yeah, the curvature of the Earth too.
Well, I don't know if it. Different people, I mean, they say different things about it, so I don't know exactly if they're always talking about the same thing. Or
Yeah,
not,
true.
know.
Yeah.
But, some people say the Earth is flat. So.
Right.
You do have some of those people out there too. Yeah.
Yeah. But that firing program, you know, it'll tell you what, you know, each effect is, what amount it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, like at this, you know, latitude, I can't remember, like at 1,000 yards, I want to say it was like 1.5 inches that, you know, the Coriolis effect would go like to the right. Mm-hmm. So in the northern hemisphere, you know, the bullet is going to go to the right. And in the southern hemisphere, it'll go to the left. Mm-hmm. And this, you know, shooting east versus west changes too.
Oh my gosh.
So if you shoot west, it's going to be slightly higher. As if you shot east, it'd be slightly lower.
Yeah.
Just because of the way the Earth is spinning, you know.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
And it's not a lot.
Yeah.
And
No,
you're probably never gonna at 1,000 yards. It's almost, you know, not really a factor, you know. But when you go up to a mile and farther than that, you know, it just keeps, you know, compounding, you know.
Yeah.
More and more important, you know.
That is so cool. That is
really
wild.
sweet.
But I mean, at that, you know, that over 2 miles, you know, I mean, I might have shot 15 times. I think I only hit the target once, you know. But you can see the dirt fly right next to it, and then right beside it, and then right behind it, and then right in front of it.
Yeah.
You know, and
Just dial in every little.
yeah, well, it's
Or at that range, it's a lot of variables.
Right,
The wind is changing multiple degrees.
Yeah. Even just this, you know, slightest change in temperature.
Yeah.
Is going to make quite a difference, you know, in that little, you know.
Like it'd be hard to judge the wind that you're at and then the wind
Yeah,
that your target's
Yeah.
at.
Yeah.
It's never consistent in the direction or speed. So.
And how long does it take that round to get there?
I can't remember now. I want to say it was like 7 seconds.
Gosh.
Really?
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, you'd shoot and you get back in your sights and your scope, you know, and then all of a sudden, poof, you know, see a little bit of dirt and grass fly, you know. Yeah, that's pretty addicting.
Yeah.
God, that would be fun to do, just to sit there and play around with it and see. Let's see if I can hit that target.
Right. Yeah. No, it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess I got pretty serious with it, you know.
Yeah. You were
I'd
serious.
say, yeah.
You were serious about it there.
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You got quite a bit of money tied up in a gun, and then, you know, a rangefinder that'll, you know, range that far. It's not cheap either, you know. And, yeah.
Yeah, getting into guns as a hobby is not a cheap hobby.
Right.
Yeah, it's more of an expensive hobby.
Right. Sure can be. Yeah.
Do you ever want to do shooting competitions anymore?
Well, it'd be fun to do it, but
Yeah.
it's just, you know, hard to find time to do it. You know? Yeah.
Busy trucking.
Yeah. Always busy doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you always were. You're
You know.
got something weird driving down the road. That giant truck that you had.
your big army truck.
Yeah. Why? Why did he get that? Because he could. It's like, okay, awesome. Let's drive to town in it.
Yeah.
Was that an 8x8 or 6x6?
8.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
That thing was so badass. It looked like a Decepticon driving down the road.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it was pretty fun.
Yeah, you bought it out in North Dakota or something.
Well, I bought it online auction, you know, a government online auction, you know, and it was out in California. And then ended up having someone haul it up to North Dakota where I was working.
Yeah. It was like a big Oshkosh, wasn't it? Yep.
Yeah, hauled tanks, right?
Yeah, that's what they're used for.
The main purpose.
Yeah.
And then you entered it into the truck tractor pull in
yeah.
Bagley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were waving at you to stop because you were going too far.
Exhibition run.
Yeah.
You used it right away out in North Dakota or something. You pulled out like a stuck road grader or something right away.
Yeah.
Huge, like 50, 60,000 pound winch on it. And
Yeah. No, it was a pretty impressive machine.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That thing was cool as hell.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, some survey hands got stuck in the mud with their pickups, and somehow they conned this road grader into coming pulling him out. Well, instead of taking the road to get to where he had to go, he took a shortcut across the field, and it was too wet, So there he sat, he couldn't. He had his moldboard all the way up, and it was still in the mud,
Man.
Wow.
So then I got out there, and I got a little bit nervous that I was going to get stuck too.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, but 8-wheel drive, and you're still sinking this far into the field,
Get that big thing stuck.
Nightmare.
Yeah.
But you got the road grader out?
Oh, yeah.
You got the pickups out?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Got anything more for Josh? Or
We covered a lot.
We covered a lot, but at the same time, like every guest, we're just barely scratching the surface.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of any other racing stories, but
see, I can't remember what.
I didn't know you had an 04 mod. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Don't see them around anymore.
Right. Yeah. I think it's got, I want to say they're hot seat pipes on it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. With the engine package out of a Soo winning sled.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And, of course, the last time I was using it, it wasn't running very good. And I don't remember, I don't know. I think it might need rings or something. I don't know. So it just sits in the trailer, tore apart. I just haven't got around to firing it up again. But
have you got your old Dodge back together yet?
Well, it's back together, but the computer's out of it.
Oh,
yeah. So I need to. I've been thinking about sending it off, getting it fixed. But just never get around to that either.
Yeah, that old Dodge is cool.
Yeah, it was cylinder number 6 that went out, right?
Yeah.
I remember your dad said you had said like too much boost, too big of a hill.
Yeah, it was just, I could see the top of the hill, but I should have let off a little sooner. Yeah.
But that's your projects. You had your Dodge 5.9 Cummins engine all tore down every piece on your bench.
Yeah.
Fixing it yourself right down to the motor, the engine, the pistons.
Yeah.
The pistons of those things are unreal.
Yeah, they're pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should have brought your piston out of my semi.
Yeah. Oh, your big supercharged. What I can't remember what the heck Dad called it the one day, but
well, you never know what he'd call it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I can't remember.
Yeah. No, but I mean they're the size of a coffee can.
Yeah.
If you they're not quite as big as that paint can, but they're pretty close.
Holy crap.
Well, yeah, if you got one to just throw away, we'll display it in the podcast studio.
Yeah, it'll sit somewhere up here.
Yeah.
We have been going for 2 hours. So.
It was 2 hours,
yeah,
really.
That was 2 hours. Just like that.
Right. Yeah. I was trying to think of other race stories to tell, but I do remember that the fans, when we finally got them going good, there was one race down there, and I want to say it was White Earth Lake. Mm-hmm. They plowed the whole track, and it was just a super nice weekend, and man, it was fun. The sled would just fly, and I don't know if I didn't get a good start. something happened. So it was real competitive, you know. It seemed like there was, you know, half a dozen Arctic cats that were like nose to tail all the time, you know. And then there was one big long sweeper. I was able to, I think I passed like 5 or 6. You know, they were all like nose to tail, and I just went around the outside of them, you know.
All in a row.
Yeah, all in a row. And just, you know, Flint was just flying that weekend. I had it set up pretty low, and the trailing arm started to crack, and I didn't realize it until, you know, the belly panel was on the ice.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And so they were towed out quite a bit, you know, and belly panels on the ice. And I ended up losing a little bit of positions, but I think, I don't know, whatever it was, I still ended up finishing decent. But I mean, yeah, you'd blow a corner and, you know, you'd get passed by 5 guys, you know.
Yeah.
It was real competitive, real close, you know, so it was always a lot of fun.
I wonder if that's the weekend that Brady won down there. Because I know Brady had said he'd won down at White Earth one time.
Could have been, yeah.
We're hopefully planning on getting Brady in here in the next like 2 to 3 weeks or so.
Sure.
We're waiting until we get laid off.
Sure.
We're done working in between him and his kid going snowmobile racing all winter. So
Yep. Right.
I was going to say, it feels like forever since we've been in here.
Yeah, we didn't do anything last weekend.
Yeah.
So, and the last time we were in here, we were all dressed up for Halloween. So,
Sure.
Well, like, so like sometimes we ask people if they have any other stories. Like, you got any Rewadena stories?
Not that I can think of.
No. Who else? What would be your Brian Deerdahl story? Being he had one of you.
Oh, I don't know. There's probably a few of them. Yeah.
It's always hard to put people on the spot to come up with a story.
Yeah.
You think of 10 stories, like, I don't know if I should say that one.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But no, thanks for coming in here, Josh.
Yeah, you bet.
We really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I'm sure, like, you're like we said, local legend.
Local legend, family friend. We've said it on the podcast before. Smartest guy I know.
Yeah.
Well, you need to meet more people. Need to get out of Clearbrook.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
But no, you had a really good cross-country career, and if people aren't, like, as in-depth to it as, like, people that are actually racing and everything, probably not a very known name, but you actually had a lot of really cool accomplishments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it was a lot of fun. You know, you do the best you can, and always try to do better, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you always think, you know, things could have been better if you know, things had lined up different, you know, but you can't change nothing, so.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you crash whenever you crash.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'm glad you had fun, though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Your first podcast, I'm assuming. Yeah. Well, knowing you, who knows? You could have been on some, you know, sniper podcast down in Kansas.
No.
Oh, that's awesome, though.
Moral of the story is don't crash and you get faster.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's faster if you don't crash.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, this was good. This is good, Josh.
Yeah. 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Maybe next week, guest, Kyle, maybe lined up for Eric Rowan.
Maybe.
Okay.
See, they had a long weekend.
Oh, okay.
Kenny Murphy got married.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, New York. Yeah.
But he should be up here for hunting, though.
Yeah.
I would say. So we should be able to swing him through here. So
We'll see. Get a hold of him.
yeah. But yeah, thanks to Johnson Electric out of Alexandria for this for I think the sponsor in the next 2 episodes after this one. So thanks
Awesome.
to them.
Thank you.
So thanks again, Josh.
Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, you've been around the races the last few years. You're always at Pine Lake, it seems like, being able to be kind of close to home these last couple of years.
Yeah. I haven't been there in a couple of years, I don't think. But
Oh, really? I thought it was just last year or the year prior you were there.
yeah, it's probably been, it might have been 3 years ago. Maybe I was there, but
Oh.
I can't
Well, anything else you want to say?
I don't think so.
No.
All right. Thanks again, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you in the next one.
See ya.